Hey gaming fans, so today's another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile, and this is for the GOAT format, and it's called, well, I call this deck Invader of the Throne. I couldn't come up with any other names for it. Pretty much the concept of this deck is to steal your opponent's monsters. So let's get to the deck and I'll explain the choices. So Invader of the Throne, not a very commonly seen monster, but she's pretty neat. She's a 1350 attack, 1700 defense, which is good. She holds up to a lot of attacks. But when she flips up, you select one opponent's monster and switch control of it with this card. So she's basically a built-in creature swap. Now, the only downside to her effect is that she cannot activate it during the battle phase. So you're going to have to use it during your main phase or during your opponent's main phase. So we'll get to that. So we got 3 Invader of the Throne because the deck is pretty much based on this. And then for a similar effect, we have 3 Brainjackers. Now, Brainjacker is interesting because it essentially turns into a snatch steal. So you flip it up and then you equip it to your opponent's monster and take control of it, and then each of your opponent's turn they gain 500 life points. So it pretty much is snatch steal on legs. Now, the downside to this, again, is if your opponent attacks it and destroys it by battle, it won't equip to the monster. It'll go to the graveyard. So, much like the Invader of the Throne, you're going to have to find a way to use it without it being attacked. So then we also have, because we're going to be stealing monsters, we have Amazoness Chainmaster, who can steal monsters from your opponent's hand. Pretty much if she is destroyed by battle, sent to the graveyard, you get to look at your opponent's hand by paying 1500 life points and take a monster. And then you can use it in the duel. So, you know, being able to just rip a card out of your opponent's hand and take their monster, even if it's one you can't summon just to get it out of their hand, like a Blackluster Soldier, would be cool. Then, because we are playing a lot of flip effects, I put in 1 Tsukiyumi. 2 might be too many, I don't know. But I figure 1's good enough, because, you know, just in case you get your Invader of the Throne or your Brainjacker out in attack mode, you could Tsukiyumi and flip it face down. And speaking of bringing out Invader of the Throne in attack mode, we do have Giant Rat, 3 Giant Rats. So Invader of the Throne is an Earth monster, and she's 1350, so she's a target for Giant Rat, which means you can bring her out on your turn, and then Tsukiyumi, or on your opponent's turn, I should say, if they destroy Giant Rat, then you could Tsukiyumi it or Book of Moon it to activate its effect on your turn. Then we got Sangan. I mean, he searches out pretty much every monster in this deck, with the exception of a few. Cyberjar I put in here because we want to get cards onto the field in this deck, and that's a good way to do it. Oftentimes your opponent will only have like 1 monster. You know, most good players are only going to summon 1 monster anyways, and so this will help get some more monsters onto the field for you to be able to steal whichever one you want. Then, because we are playing a deck that steals monsters, I put in 2 Relinquished, because that's essentially what his effect is. But you don't get to steal and use the monster, but at least he absorbs the monster and becomes that strength. So Relinquish is good. And because we're playing a ritual, we're going to play 3 Manju of the 10,000 Hands, just to make sure we can get out our Relinquished when we need it, or grab the ritual spell. Whatever you need. This grabs either the monster or a ritual spell. Then I figured, you know, you might need a little bit of spell and trap destruction in this deck, so I put in Mobius the Frost Monarch, because you might steal a monster and just want to tribute it off. And then for the last monster in the deck, 1 Lava Golem. Like I said, a lot of your opponents will not always have more than 1 monster on the field, so Lava Golem might be dead in most cases, but you know, in the chance that they do have 2 monsters out, or you pull off your Cyberjar, you could tribute 2 of their monsters, put Lava Golem on the field, and then steal them. So for the spells, we got the 2 standard spells here, Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity. No Delinquent Duel in this deck, don't need it. Then we have Autonomous Action Unit, because this is also going with the theme of the deck, and that is to steal monsters, but this time you get to steal it from their grave. So if they have a good monster in the graveyard, you get to steal it, just like Premature Burial for your opponent's graveyard, and this costs 1500 life points. So we also have 2 Creature Swap. Again, we're stealing your opponent's monsters. So whether you Lava Golem and then steal it, you know, that kind of thing, or swap over your giant rat, or you could swap over, even if you have to normal summon Invader of the Throne and creature swap it over, you know, you could do that as well. Then Snatch Steal, again, we're stealing monsters, so it fits perfectly in this deck. 2 of the Black Illusion Rituals to help get out your Relinquished. I figured 3 would be too many. I only put 2 Relinquished and 2 Black Illusion Rituals, plus we have the 3 Searchers for it. Because this it really isn't just a Relinquished deck. Then we have the 2 Book of Moons, because then you can actually flip your Invader face down if you need to, or whatever you need to do, or just keep her on the field for 1 turn. Like if you set Invader of the Throne, and then your opponent goes to attack, you can Book of Moon their monster, and then on your turn flip her up and then steal it. Same with enemy controller. Same concept, you could turn their monster to defense mode to save your monster from being attacked by battle, like, you know, save Brainjacker, for instance, from being attacked by battle, and then you could steal it, or you could use enemy controller to steal your opponent's monsters as well for that single turn. And then I put in some Swords of Revealing Light, because then you can kind of stall for a few turns while you set your monsters and then go to town stealing. So for the traps, we have 3 Desert Sunlight. So this is going to be the best trick you can do with your Invader of the Throne or your Brainjacker. If you set it on your turn and then your opponent summons a monster, like whatever monster they summon, then you can flip over to Desert Sunlight, which all monsters on your side of the field are changed to face-up defense position. So then they would activate and then steal whatever monster they just summoned. So that's a good way to get around the can't be activated in the battle phase trick. Same thing with Threatening Roar. You can keep your monster alive for that turn, whether they summon Breaker, then maybe they go to break your face-down Threatening Roar, and then you can activate that, they can't attack that turn, and then you get to steal their monster on your turn. And then I just threw in 1 Call It a Haunted, just so you can bring back whatever you need. Like you could bring back your Invader of the Throne if you have Tsukiyumi ready to flip her down, or Book of Moon. Or you can grab your Chainmaster, Sangan, Lava Golem, whatever you need to grab, even a Relinquished. And so that's the deck. The whole concept is just steal your opponent's stuff. I really was going to look at other cards that steal, like, you know, from the graveyards and stuff, but I think this is just kind of fun, just always taking your opponent's monsters. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Let me know if you've ever played a deck like this. I always like to hear it. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.